In the last few years, more elephants have been killed in Africa for their ivory tusks than ever before.
Here is an elephant which was killed by poachers.
This surge in poaching is the result of a new upswing in demand for ivory products, mostly from China, where members of the new middle class think nothing of filling their knick-knack shelves with ivory statuettes, or where that ivory came from.
Now, I'm told that a lot of people in China think the tusks just drop out. And, you know, if you buy a piece of ivory, you've killed an elephant.
The lure of this new Chinese money has brought the illegal ivory trade back to East Africa's wildlife habitats full bore and turned otherwise regular stand-up Kenyans into elephant murderers. Fighting the illegal animal trade has become a greater priority for the U.S. The State Department now refers to wildlife trafficking as a national security crisis, and the Obama administration plans on destroying all its seized ivory in October 2013 as an example to poachers and traders alike. Many people living around the game parks and reserves of northern Kenya are faced with the choice of making money in the illegal ivory trade or making no money at all. And the skyrocketing numbers of dead elephants show which way the average Kenyan is swinging.
4 years ago, 35% of all the elephants that died were being killed for their ivory. In 2012, over 80% that died were killed illegally for their ivory.
This is the Samburu National Reserve, 63 square miles of pristine East Kenyan savanna on the Owasso-Nagiro River, home to lions, cheetah, ostriches, dik-diks, bee-eaters, and hundreds of elephants. But safari critters aren't the only wildlife in Samburu. Small towns and villages of huts dot the reserve's periphery.
We are very poor, illiterate people in Kenya.
Most of these communities are firmly impoverished, and the money to be gained from poaching is often too tempting to resist.
You've got something just walking around with thousands of dollars on the front of its nose, and somebody's in, you know, the depth of poverty, they're going to kill it.
This poacher lives near the reserve and has hunted and killed 8 elephants using some of the most primitive means available.
Munarusha, sunaona hizi bow ile hivi. Yote mnazirusha, mnazitawanisha, zingine zitapotea. Sasa amongst zikipotea mnaangalia ile iko na trunk kubwa. Sasa mkizitawanya mna target moja. Hizo zingine zikipoteanga, hiyo moja sasa ndio mnaanza kuivamia na mamikuki.
The next step involves a poison-tipped spear, using venom secreted by a local swamp frog.
Halafu iko na sumu. Ukidunga tu inaanguka na kufa. Hapo upande ya shingo. Na mko na kufa.
Of course, for poachers with a little bit of startup money, there are guns and gun dealers.
How many guns does he sell in a month?
Our weapons dealer sells his rifles for around $100 a piece, which is a fortune by local economic standards, but a fraction of the money that can be made from just one elephant.
It could be used for elephant poaching.
While they obviously require less skill than the frog venom spear, guns like these are the weapon of choice for most experienced poachers, like this man, who's been killing and detusking elephants for over 15 years. After a poacher finishes his kill, he and his crew remove the tusks with machetes. The The tusks are then stashed close to the elephant corpse for safekeeping.
Mara mingi huwa tuibebi hiyo siku. Hapo tu kwa hiyo paka kama tu kwa hiyo msitu mnachimbia tu mahali mnachimba.
Once park authorities have investigated the area and hyenas have eaten all the elephant meat, poachers return to the site of the kill, dig up their tusks, and bring them to a dealer. This dealer was looking to unload a single tusk when we met him.
Hii kitu nilipata kama mwezi moja na nusu iliyopita. Ilikuwa mbili. Moja ilienda na moja imebaki. Hata kuna zingine ziko lakini kuna majamaa ambayo ni wachungaji ngamia ndio waliniletea.
How many kilos?
3 kilos.
So that would be 21,000.
Yeah, 21,000 Kenya money.
3 kilos of tusk sells for about 21,000 Kenya shillings in Samburu, around $240 US. The value of the ivory increases substantially with the distance it travels. The same tusk that cost $240 in northern Kenya sells for more than $2,000 in China. While most of Kenya's illegal ivory goes to Asia these days, in the 80s it was Western demand that drove the elephant poaching trade and led to the establishment of the African anti-poaching movement.
I'm a wildlife person, and I live for wildlife, and so for me the hurt was these animals dying, and just the tusk being cut off and left to rot. I watched how government worked, and it was too big for government. Our country is just too big and wild. These are tough people living in a very harsh landscape.
If anybody who lived in here poached elephants, what would you think of them?
I think that he's not a good person.
Ian used the local tribesmen's sense of compassion and self-sufficiency as the building blocks for his organization.
My feeling was that the strength and the power here was within the local community. If a community that lived on that land really came together as a cohesive group and said, no poaching, we're going to stop it, they would have the capacity to stop it.
It's conservation run by the communities themselves in their own interests, rather than by government or private landowners.
Josephina Kiru is the chairwoman of the Nakuprat Go-To Conservancy in the Samburu area.
The main reasons that we started a conservancy was just because there was a lot of poaching here.
Nakuprat Go-To's main mission these days is taking poachers and would-be poachers alike and turning them from elephant slaughterers into elephant saviors.
It's not Africans buying ivory, it's wealthy people buying ivory. And wealthy people buying Africa's ivory is turning good people into bad people.
Amamanga araniga bartoton bara ya ibernia tengete tonto moja amamna baja kama walikintini arnan lakini urwal ni walikintorni ajakon.
Faida yetu ni pembe, kama ndovu tunatoa pembe, wengine tunaoa tunakula nyama.
These new wildlife rangers are now protecting the same elephants they used to kill, with guns provided by the Northern Rangelands Trust. They use many of the same hunting and tracking techniques they learned poaching, but now they are hunting and tracking the poachers.
For the ground, if there is any footprint for the poachers.
Najua usichika na mkono sababu hata iko chencho. Na mtu ya bunduki usichika na mkono. Wote anapike ananipiga, wote anapike. Tumeoa mingi, ni mingi. Hata wacha tu hapo.
There isn't a shoot to kill policy per se. The first choice is to arrest people. If that doesn't work, then the next option. And the next option is an armed option. This is a hard country, and we're dealing with illegal firearms and criminals. This isn't a soft option here.
How many times did rangers shoot at him?
Tulipigana kabisa mara nyingi sana.
Julius Lokinyi used to be known as the best poacher in Samburu. Despite his reputation and earnings in the ivory trade, Josephina Kiru and her conservancy convinced him to give up poaching for good and become a ranger. Unfortunately, money, or specifically the lack of money, is still a major issue.
Sasa kalau nak abu ni ada abu yang kita marah kalau buat baru kan sapas abu yang ada pion nane.
bila na nyota ni mia.
Anaajiriwa ama ataandikwa ufuate kitu kidogo, lakini bado hatunangoja tu.
Fanya kazi ya volunteer, pesa itakuja.
The head ranger and driver both make a low salary, but when we met them, the other rangers hadn't been paid anything at all.
Bila hiyo kitu yote, sasa sioni mzuri sana. Nakaa tu nasema wache tu kama hii kitu itakuja ama ile kitu nitawafanya rudisha hivyo ni njia. Sasa chakula ikikosa kwa roho yangu ziki mzuri kwa sababu mnaichunga.
Poverty is rife across Africa, and so conservation isn't the golden goose that's going to solve everything here, but it's just part of the puzzle.
Kitu kwanza hata leo ningekuwa na uwezo, kwanza hii kitu ni mnyama, especially hii kitu ni mnyama na hafai kuuawa, na akiendelea kuuawa ataisha. Na leo kusema kweli ningekuwa na uwezo ningezuia hata majamaa wangu wote, ningeambia hawachana na hii kitu, kwa vile bado hata sio mzuri, itakuwa nusu hata kwa Mungu. Hata kula kitu kama ni kama unakula huyo mnyama, unajua sio mzuri. Sasa leo ningekuwa na uwezo hata kuambia majamaa wachana na hii kitu, ningelifanya.
Sipendi, ni venye tu hauna otherwise. Hauna njia nyingine ya kufanya. Ukienda kusema ni kuuza makaa, unauza pesa kidogo, hata itoshi familia.
Wajah hari argad, arbe infedo kisa en la kisa siyede.
Mai dia, kebawa kan kena gawa khai, kila kita bagi mekena akarang tome, kena kita kada lo kimekena akarang tome ko sababu. Antone be kena kita wa khai ala sama kena dari akarang tome ko der moro boni ka boni kira dang tome.